Hi, everybody, and welcome into 2022. This is Eddie C. and My Positive Podcast. And I just want to tell you all, there's a way to support us now. If you come on my website and if you come on my Facebook page, you can find that out. We're going to have some new guests this year, but we're going to bring back some of the older guests. So if you're curious, tune in and stay positive. Hi, my name is Eddie C. and welcome to My Positive Podcast. I'll bring you positive stories of people from all walks of life because everyone has a story to tell. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MPP, My Positive Podcast, Season 2, Episode 21. Today, we're going to be talking about revision. But before I go into that a little bit further, I want to say we changed a few things on our website, so please check out mypositivepodcast.com. You can now become a Patreon and support me, and which is something that would be very nice. We're going to have something with special T-shirts and caps if you become a special member and all. And so stay tuned for that. I'll keep you posted via the webpage and via my Facebook page. Well, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, our subject today is revision, and I've got two wonderful guests that are going to start off season 2. One of my guests is a dancer, scriptwriter, and actress, and my other guest is a session musician, producer, songwriter, singer, and he's a wonderful friend of mine as well. If you're curious about their stories, tune in and stay positive. My name is Eddie C, and you're listening to My Positive Podcast. Well, hello, everybody, and I'd like to welcome my first guest. She's from Burbank, California. What I know about her, she's a fantastic dancer and quite a young, multi-talented young lady. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my first guest, Lolo Asratian. How you doing, Lolo?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's early morning for both of us, but we're
yes.
We'll get through this. Can you tell my listeners a little bit more about yourself?
I suppose it's very difficult to keep that brief. But let's just say I used to be a professional dancer, and then I got into corporate business because of life. And then I dropped all of that again, and I am currently pursuing my passion in acting and film. So I basically am a screenwriter. That's what I do. I write movies, and I act. Voila.
Okay. Well, how long were you, because you're originally from the States, but you're living in Antwerp, actually. Yes. So what brought you from, the sunny Burbank over here to the chilly Antwerp city?
I was an accident, I've been told. Anyway, truth is, my parents, or my father still is, or used to be in diamonds. So Antwerp is Diamond Central, which made it, perhaps, therefore, I was just an accident who was born here, because they were here at the time. And we used to travel back and forth between Belgium and the States. Because yes, Antwerp being Diamond Central and the States being our home.
Okay.
Voilà. Actually, that's
all right.
It, yeah.
And you prefer Burbank or do you prefer being over here in Antwerp?
Tough question. I don't want to sound biased or politically incorrect. Neither, I would say.
Okay.
There's a lot more nicer places to be than both. But at the same time, they're both amazing as well. I enjoy both destinations. Absolutely.
The one thing about the States is when you've gone for a while and you get settled into the sort of European lifestyle, it's sort of a little bit more laid back in certain ways as far as if you look at the history. I mean, in the States, everything is fast, at least the Midwest, where I grew up at, because everything is big there. Traffic is moving a lot, faster. Here, Antwerp is a small city, so you have the tendency of walking around. It's almost like a village compared to the big cities back in the States. And of course, Burbank is a little bit more laid back, I'm sure. You got the weather and everything going with you there as well. That's pretty cool. Talk a little bit more about your dancing. I've seen quite a few videos where you're a fantastic ballet dancer. You got some shots, me being a hobby photographer. I looked at some of your pictures and there's a couple of shots where you're really like on those toes. That's amazing to see that. The dancing, that was the first thing that you started doing?
I'm not really sure. We got into a lot of various creative and artistic hobbies at a very young age because our parents were very keen on having, what's it called, like overachieving children, say it that way. We got the luxury to be able to explore various hobbies that required a lot of competitiveness. And I got into ballet when I was 2.5, maybe, or 3. So I was quite young. Yeah. So it's not like you have any choice to make at that particular moment. Wow. I suppose I just had a lot of energy and I had to get it out some way. And I guess that was the way to do it. Of course, I was completely hooked on it. That's my therapy. That's my everything. And I graduated quite at a young age from ballet. I got to a professional level, I suppose, when I was 10 or 12.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got to travel in Europe, introduce modern dance in Europe. I was invited by the Russian ballet, Bizet. There was a lot of opportunities. You wouldn't say that if you would see me now.
I don't know. I've seen some recent videos of you, and you're still quite a dancer.
Yeah, the basics are there. It's like riding a bike. You never unlearn how to ride a bike. Yeah,
you never forget.
Exactly.
That's true.
But it doesn't mean that I'll be able to, cross down a mountain or, go completely crazy on a bike because it's terrifying.
Right. Straying away from your dancing a little bit. I know that you seem to be able to do a lot. We actually met at the jazz cafe I used to play at. I remember you telling me that you were busy with doing some film productions and writing scripts and everything. How did that come about all of a sudden that you started just getting into the whole script writing and the, wanting to be an actress and everything? Okay, you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I actually always had a passion for that. It was actually something I wanted to do from a very young age. Unfortunately, there were some obstacles that didn't allow me to do that anymore. And that kind of combined everything with dancing and everything that I had at a young age already achieved, let's say it that way. But at the same time, I'm proud of where I am now. Script writing or screenplay writing is just something that came about. And that was just meeting people who I had conversations with, and we had a great connection. And they were like, "Do you write?" I'm like, "No, but I can try." And I tried, and turns out that it's something that was quite appealing to them. And I've always written for other people. So I've had directors or a director perhaps have an idea, and they would basically talk, and I would write. Let's say it that way. Like I would make it into, I would put it on paper what their idea is.
Okay, so I can get you to do my story.
Definitely. At one point. With pleasure.
All
Absolutely.
Right. We will definitely talk about that.
Perfect.
All righty. Is there any special project you're busy with now at the moment as far as your writing is concerned?
In terms of writing, it is more, I just took when the new year came, I usually never make any New Year resolutions, but I did this time. And I was like, I need to do something that is my own project. I need to have my own project. I need to do something that is coming from me, coming from my own core. So I'm writing a little bit, something that is similar to a biopic with a lot of fiction elements in it. I'm just exaggerating basically what my life story is, which is great. It's quite sensational. And at the same time, I'm writing a play for a friend, I suppose. We're going to travel in 2 days. We're going for, a 12-day stay in Egypt at a lagoon. We made a bed about rewriting a play, an original play that is quite well known, but I can't say yet. And we're going to take 12 days in the sun and just rewrite that play according to her idea and implementing elements together. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on, but nothing is very much tangible yet. When you write something, it doesn't have an immediate result. The immediate result is the moment when everything becomes, reality. We have a cast, you have production and all of that. It's great to put things on paper, but to see it come to life at the moment where everything becomes more tangible. So I guess I'm just still in the creative phase, but it's very exciting. The creative phase is more exciting than the executive phase. Executing is tiring.
Why did you choose Egypt?
Yes. Why? Because the sun is shining there right now. And I think it's important to have a lot of sunshine. I don't like winter in general. I don't like darkness or cold primarily. I don't like. It's not my roots do not align with that. And I just need we just need a place where we don't have any other distraction other than having the sunlight and having a lagoon or the ocean and just being like, we can have an endless line of cocktails and just write.
That you need that solitude for inspiration.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yeah, no distractions. Okay. Only that.
All right.
All we have.
Well, I can understand that. I have that sometimes when I want to write a song that I need to have peace and quiet, or if I'm outside of the country, all of a sudden an idea might pop up. And then there's a story, So as far as your acting is concerned, are you doing anything at the moment?
Yes. I'm not sure whether or not I can tell. But of course, due to COVID, it's very difficult to find. It was very difficult to actually be able to do physical auditions, which I adore and completely loathe at the same time. But I got into voice acting at a certain point, and there's a very well-known, I'm going to try to explain it so that I can see it directly. There's a very well-known like comic books with little blue figures.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm one of those little blue figures, one of the new characters.
Okay, all right, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me guess which one.
It's a new one, so I'm not sure if you're gonna find it.
Okay, all right.
That was a very exciting journey. It was a lot of fun. I didn't even expect it actually to happen. I just took a leap of faith, send in a recording of all the various tones of voices that I can have. And within short notice, I was summoned to perhaps portray one of the new characters that I want to introduce. And it's introduced in the United States and the UK because it's English. And if that goes to a success, I'll be able to do other languages as well, I hope. So yeah, that's one of those things. That was a great win. Everything was very limited at the time. At least these past years were just very limited. It was very difficult to find something.
Well, it's been for the whole creative world that way.
Exactly, yes.
As far as the artistic world, unfortunately, I felt it as well as a musician and my colleagues as well. So
definitely,
we're glad to see doors opening up again and that people coming out and getting those new experiences out. We can express ourselves again.
Yes. But it's also limited. At the same time, it still remains limited. I think that's something that I have a very hard time enduring. I don't know how it was for you. I just wonder the same thing for you. Like, how did you cope with that, enduring limitation?
Well, for me, let's say this whole last 2 years, at first I looked at it like, oh, what am I going to do? But I think maybe it has to do with my age. You start to reflect back on yourself. So I saw it as a time of reflection. I saw it as a time of rebuilding certain things because a lot had been going on in my life just before, some major changes as well. And so I saw it as a time to be able to regroup myself, recreate certain things that I wanted to do, start writing my book, which I still have a lot to write about. And this podcast actually originated because of because of the whole lockdown thing, because I wanted to create something to give back to people in these difficult times, which is some kind of form of positivity. And the best way to do that is with not just well-known people, but people of all walks of life. That was the reason of starting this whole show. And of course, you're one of my guests that I said, I remember we spoke at the Hopper at the time, and I said, we've got to talk one day. And so we're finally having that interview after such a while.
Exactly. Yes. I'm very flattered. I'm flattered. I mean, I'm just also very grateful. I think it's a very, very great initiative you're taking right now. And I think what you're doing right now is also really, it's pure, it's raw. And I like that a lot.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. This was your first voiceover you did?
No, I've done voiceovers before, but they were more as a narrator. So I would.
Okay.
I mean, I suppose, adjust to various accents, and using these different accents and dialects were quite appealing for, I don't know, fashion film or whatever.
All right.
So yeah, I did it before, but when it comes in terms of animation, which was very exciting, but at the same time, I sweat like a horse. No, that's probably not, like sweat like a pig. In 3 hours time of recording the first episode. It was 3 hours on end, and it was to my surprise actually very, very difficult, but at the same time very rewarding. It was great. I learned a lot from it.
Oh yeah, I've done voiceovers as well. I actually did the voiceover for the Dutch version of the Muppets in Outer Space.
No way.
Right, I was Clifford, the pink, with the dreads. Yeah. So if you ever want to see that, you let me know. I still have the video.
I would love to see that.
I have the original video of it, because it didn't come out on DVD, unfortunately, because I was looking for it on DVD, and I found it actually on as a videotape. So I was very glad to have that. It's funny because at that time I had my dreads. And so the guy that was producing it, he says, "Listen, man, we got to have you. You look so much like the one who could play the character, So I had to, and they wanted a guy with an American accent, so I had to do it in Dutch. So it was because at that time I was living in Holland, and it was so much fun. Also, a couple of other voiceovers that I did for some commercials back in the day. So it's very rewarding to do those kind of things. And if you ever go to Curacao and you go to the Amstel Beer Company and you hear the narration about how beer is made, you'll hear my voice as well.
No way. Yeah, you just gave me a great reason to go to Curacao. I mean, I'd love to go to Curacao, but that would be the cherry on top of my trip. So I do that.
It was funny because I went there some years ago when we were on tour with the Rosenberg Trio, and we did a jazz concert there. And it was so funny to hear myself from a few years earlier, because we recorded this in Amsterdam, and then I'm going in, hey, yeah, that's my voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you never know. You never know what happens. I mean, you can always take just that leap of faith or that risk. But I suppose music is, I admire it a lot when artists and music in general, I think I'm not sure if I'd be able to survive within the music industry. I find it very...
Well, the music industry has become, I think, a lot more difficult nowadays, especially because let's say, put it like this, there's so many so-called reality shows, which are not reality at all. And so we've kind of created a sort of closed circuit society, with the modern technology has kind of taken the creativity, new ways to be creative, but at the same time, it's kind of, it's sort of like limiting the pureness of the being creative to a certain degree, I think. It makes the world small. I mean, we're able to do things like this with the podcast and everything, and a lot of people can work at home on their computer, but I miss the days when we used to get into the studio with a rhythm section and say, hey, man, and we played until 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock, sometimes 12 o'clock at night. And then afterwards came in the next day and then did the overdubs, and you spent the time, just like a painter doing a painting or whatever, and that, and even today, a lot of movies they're so digitally made, it used to be, and now a cast of thousands. And now it's like, we're going to type those cast of thousands on the computer and we'll do it digitally.
Yeah, there's a lot of undiscovered talent still. So people who still believe, I also still believe in the pure and the rawness of having, physical contact. Like physical presence is something that can only enhance or either perhaps not enhance your talent. I think it's a lot more interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, doing an audition physically is a lot more different than making a self-tape. I hate self-tapes. I hate it. I loathe it entirely. I suck at it like really badly. I have to do like really like my best. And I cannot, when you imagine like in music, making even a self-tape or anything in the procedure of perhaps trying to get yourself out there, trying to get your music out there, it seems like a very daunting journey, and the only thing you want is to be able to physically show what you can do.
Absolutely.
Because that's when you're yourself, and that's when you're very vulnerable, but that's the best way to be able to portray your talent. And I think there's a lot of talent being lost at the moment. It's very difficult. There's a lot of influence from politics and all of that.
I got one more question for you, which is our theme question for this particular show, which is about revision. And I'd like to know, what does revision mean, not only to you, but for you?
Taking into consideration that these past few years, which is almost 3 years, has been quite difficult for everyone. I can't believe that there's anybody who's had it. I dare to believe that nobody has had it as easy, because I suppose we're human beings, we're animals, we're not supposed to be limited. That it's taken a toll in some way, quite mentally, emotionally, as also perhaps physically. And it's thrown us back into, that's how I feel, it's thrown us back into some way of evolution that we had, that we were supposed to perhaps have. And when it comes to revision, how I look at it, I had a very rough time with it. Obviously, everybody has their own luggage and their own traumas to deal with. That combined with the limitation of these past years was quite a challenge to get over, I suppose, or to get through. I am not yet at that point where I've been able to revise these past years. But I am at that point where I'm just like, yeah, I suppose it's been for everyone in their own way. Yeah, and I suppose limitation is something that is an obstruction of evolution. And these limitations have not been as reasonable as they should have been. I would have gained up on so much time that I feel like I've lost, because I fear that if I don't do it now, if perhaps tomorrow something like this would happen again, I fear that I would not be able to have that chance at trying at least. So basically it's given me strength to take more risks. I find that the risks I've taken, I have a lot less fucks to give. I do things, or I pursue goals perhaps that are delusionally perhaps way over my head, but why not? Let me just try it and let's see how far we can get. So in a way, it's giving me more strength, that at the same time, my insecurities or my fear for losing everything again and remaining in survival mode and doing things that are not necessarily my passion just to be able to eat. I don't know, it kind of just, it's very contradictory. I think I've learned for myself, at least, is to be able to admit, don't feel bad for admitting that you have flaws. It's something that will help you to be able to admit and actually see that you have flaws, and that's okay. Once you realize that, you'll be able to work on that, and it's going to make you better. It's only going to help you. And don't fear that. And I would also just say, just fucking do it. Just anything you have on your mind, just do it. At least try to pursue, just do it. You cannot know what the outcome will be without trying. And it's okay if you fall on your fucking face. That's okay. It will only make you stronger. As cliche as it may sound, it is one of the best things that can happen to you. Failure is something that will give you strength. And keep on fucking failing. It's great. Actually, that's my comfort zone. I love failing. I'm scared of succeeding. But when I succeed, I'm going to be horrified. And I would love to get to know myself better thanks to pursuing things that I have no idea what the outcome will be. But it makes me feel great to take a risk, to be completely in the unknown. I say you have a clear canvas. When you have the opportunity to have a clear canvas, you can create whatever the fuck you want.
Well, on those words, my dear young friend, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show, sharing your story and your positive energy.
You too. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was great. It was nice.
All righty. Okay.
This is My Positive Podcast with Eddie C.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is a dear friend of mine from actually many years. We worked together a lot in the studio sessions. We've played a lot together. He's a fantastic guitar player, producer, arranger. He also has a nice voice. And he's just a great guy to know. Please welcome my next guest, Mr. Patrick Drabe. Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
Well, thanks, man. Well, I'm fine, thank you. Well, that's a nice introduction.
Well, I mean, every word I say, man, we've known each other for so long, and it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we do.
Always a pleasure to work with you and talk with you, and we're always giving each other tips, so that's always nice.
Yeah,
as well.
That's right. Yeah, always. Yeah, that's really cool, man. Yeah.
Well, listen, I want to ask you. I know a lot about you, but my listeners don't, and maybe you can tell our listeners a little bit about your background and how you got involved in music and everything.
I was born and raised in a musical family. My dad is a singer and a guitar player, and my uncle, he is a bass player, and all kinds of family members. So they all played something. My grandfather, he played saxophone and the pedal steel guitar. And back in Indonesia, because that's where we come from, my grandpa played with the Dutch division of the Sky Masters. He played the saxophone, So I don't know better than there was always music around us, and I think I was maybe 7, 8 years old, and my father put a ukulele in my hands, but I didn't do anything with that until I was maybe 12, 13 years old, and then I picked up the acoustic guitar, and then all along I learned to play, and actually because my dad he taught a few students, he had a few students, he taught the guitar. And I was listening with my ear on the wall. That's the way how I learned to play the guitar. So I learned it from my dad, but he didn't know, He didn't realize that. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, okay. So, outside of coming from a musical family, I mean, was there a certain point that you said, this is what I want to do as my profession, or was that already preordained as a child?
I think so, yeah, because I was always into music, even at the times I didn't know how to play the guitar. But I can remember, the early albums of, I can remember, for instance, Pretzel Logic, from the album from Steely Dan. I heard that for the first time. I was maybe 7, 8 years old or something.
Yeah.
And it was like magic, like magic. I was like, what the fuck is this, So, and then once I learned to play the guitar, I instantly knew this is what I'm going to be,
Right.
And yeah. And there was always a studio environment because we had this music room, and my grandpa, besides he was a musician, he was a technician as well, an engineer. So he built his own amps and stuff, So.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So we got tape recorders in the house, So.
Okay, so you had the whole package growing up. In fact.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did. Yeah.
That's quite amazing. So what are you doing now at the moment? Because I know your better half has been on one of my podcasts, and Desiree, and she was. She's also a fantastic person, great musician. You guys are a nice couple, in fact.
She is.
And
we are.
So there's a good balance there. And so how did it come about that you're doing some projects now. I know because every time I try to reach you, man, you're sometimes hard to catch up with. Busy.
I know. Yeah. It's always in recording sessions.
But I know that's great because that means you're doing some good things and bringing some nice music to people. So what are some of the projects that you're doing now at the moment?
Well, at the moment, of course, I'm still busy with my other half, with Desiree. And we're ready to release some songs now. She's busy right now with writing a book, and all along the way we'll release the songs for her album. And actually, I think we got enough material right now to release maybe 2 albums, So.
Oh, fantastic! So why not make a double album? Like they used to do back in the days with songs like "Key of Life."
Yeah, but times have changed, so I think it's better now to release something every 2 or 3 months. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's how it is right now. So, and the other thing is times are changing. So
yeah, they are.
And the other thing is in tomorrow. The first single will be released of my good friend Lo van Gorp. You know him?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's also been on one of my shows, one of my earlier shows as well in the last season. Yeah.
Well, we produced his debut album, and we did a long time to make it, but it was already out in Japan last year.
Yeah,
and,
I remember. I remember him telling me that. Yeah.
And from tomorrow on, it will be here. And the first song that will be released is called "The Fisher King."
Okay.
And it's about a story of 2 friends, and one of the 2 friends, he chases money and power, and all along the way he loses his soul. So it's a little like
yeah, okay,
Arthurian legend.
Yeah, nothing wrong about that, man. Those are songs with stories, man. That's very important. That's great. Yeah. And alongside of that, I know you mentioned to me when we spoke to each other last about a project that you were busy with yourself as a solo, sort of in combination with. Not necessarily a solo album, because I never had the ambition to profile myself as an artist. I'm a guitar player and I'm a producer, and I do sing sometimes. And that can be nice, but it's not one of my ambitions. Mm-hmm. So my ambition is really to be a producer, a composer, and a guitar player. So well, you do those things all quite well, my friend.
I try. So, but what I am doing right now, because you were talking about revision, and I think this period of time is actually that. That time, like right now in this COVID thing we have, for being sitting at home for 2 years, well, it makes you thinking, So, and if you're talking about revision, I decided to quit a few things, to stop doing some kind of things I always did. That's for starters, the rat race in the session industry.
Right.
I don't do that shit anymore. As you did it for many years. Yeah.
I stepped out as well some years ago, and because I think it's very important to. At the older you get, the more you want to do things that are going to be giving you something back. It's not always about the money. It's about, sure, you got to survive, but at the same time, you want to be able to have fun doing what you do, man. Because Of
course, yeah, and we did. We did have fun.
Absolutely.
So that's no problem at all. But the thing is, and I think for every young musician, we all have ambitions. I remember when I was studying back in the day. I wanted to be a studio musician. I wanted to be a producer, and I wanted to do all kinds of things. And I did them all. I did them all. But I can remember some years ago when I was playing in the at that time it was the Heineken Hall, in Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam, right?
The big stage, great stage. Ziggo Dome. We went there as well, and I was playing there, and I was thinking, all right, so this is the big thing,
right?
So this is it, all right, but I didn't feel shit, I was just playing the notes, and I was, doing what I was supposed to do.
Right.
I have the paper in front of me. I was playing, and I went home. So it was a gig like any other gig, and I realized, this actually was one of my biggest dreams, And once you arrive at the dream, well, it's not so special anymore. So. But the question is, what is special? And then I'm thinking, with you in the Bommel, in the cafe where we play, with our friends.
Absolutely.
These are the moments,
Absolutely.
And maybe there were 50 people or something. I don't know, But those were the days. Actually, those were the days,
Absolutely.
And yeah. So that's what where all the fun was and the meaningfulness of things. So it got me thinking the past 2 years, and I was thinking, I'm not 30 anymore, So
well, neither
at
am
the
I.
time you still have no, yeah. But the time we still have, and I hope that still is a long time. I wanted to do something meaningful,
Right.
And work on a legend, and not just, just spraying all those notes around, So that is the most important part of the revision I had in the last 2 years, I think. So I actually say, if people ask me to do some kind of tour or whatever, I often say no. I go, sorry, man, I don't do that shit anymore.
All right. That's great. Yeah. Well, it's like with me as well. I mean, I have a few things that I still do. Of course, I'm still working with Soul Sister. That's sort of like a big thing for me because I've been playing with these guys for over 30 years. So, it's like a family. It's like a family reunion every time when we get together.
Yeah.
And for the rest, I'll do a little thing here and there. But I like the idea of there's a lot more things in life than just music as well, and
it is,
like I'm a very enthusiastic photographer, I love to do photography.
You are, yeah.
So that's another passion of mine, and doing the podcast, also working on my book at the moment, which is going to that's going to take a while. I'm doing it in baby steps, but I'm slowly getting there.
Should I be afraid? You're working on your book.
It's not gonna be a book, that kind of book. No. Now, basically, I want to tell people how my life has sort of like paralleled with the development of how music has changed from, back in the beginning of the let's say the early 70s and up to now. How the industry has tremendously changed. So it's like my life being paralleled with that. As I tell my anecdotes in the stories. So it's more of a guideline also for and sort of historical guideline as well for people in the future.
But how is it for you to because what I can recognize, back in the 90s, you were one of the most asked musicians in all of the country, Everywhere you looked, you saw Eddie playing, So, but the thing is, what I'm asking is, how did you cope with letting go of that, and still feel you were something, and
what I think,
but you have to let go in certain kind of way.
I think for me, the main thing was the fact that the industry was changing because the session work started to fade, and the more that the session work started to fade out, the more I had to go on the road and play and do tours because it's also about survival. And at a certain point, I reached when I decided to move to Belgium because of love at the time, when I decided to move there, of course, once I crossed over the border, it was like everybody thought, well, he's living in another country now, which is, I drive just as long to go anywhere in Holland. It's not like it's not like traveling across the States or something like that. But of course, For a lot of people, it was like, well, he's gone now.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a, younger generation of cats that were coming up, percussion players, and they started to work. And at one point we had a lot of the young guys and they were just playing everywhere and doing it for this price, a half of that. And I saw the sort of competitiveness, which I don't think music should be, a competition. And
no,
and I didn't like the fact that it's like people walking over each other's body to kind of like get to get that gig, that's not my thing. So I said, you guys can have it. You guys can fight over whatever. I got other things I do, because it was not only my playing. I was singing more, I was writing. I had when I came to Belgium, I had like a dead period because I wasn't getting any calls anymore. And I saw some of my ex-students doing all of the work that I used to do. And then at one point I thought to myself, they can have it. And if people hire me to do something, they're hiring me because they really want to have me.
Because you, and that's the difference. Because that's the moment. Well, you're selling your identity, and in the other things, it could have been you, but it could have been 10 other guys, and that's especially that is the thing for me as well. Why I don't want to do that anymore. That doesn't mean I don't want to play, because I love to play still. I still love to play, but I want to bring my own creativity with me, and not sell my soul to whatever and just play the paper. I don't. That's the shit I don't do anymore. So if they ask me, I bring myself.
Yeah, well, that's important. I mean, I've been doing that now. Like I said, I'm a few years older, and I've gotten to that point. I reached that point actually around your age where I thought to myself, hey, all right, it's time to do the things you really like to do. And all right, it's not always, it's not about getting your face out there and, oh, wow, I'm playing with this person, I'm playing with that. Because I did that. I played with some of the biggest names in the world. And I've been fortunate to do some wonderful gigs. And if you look me up on Discogs, I played on over 10,000 records. So for me, it's now is the time to just enjoy those things that really mean the most to you. You've got friends, you've got family, and I want to see my grandchildren at one point in the States. All those things like that. Yeah. So you know how that goes.
I can relate to that. Yeah. But the thing is, what you're saying, because I really can relate to that, because, there's always, once you're in the you're on top of your game. That's the time you play everywhere, and you got a certain kind of status, because you are one of the big guys then. Which is very nice for your ego, because there's a certain point, of course, you're going to believe yourself, that you're a great guy, So, but on the other hand, we all have our darkest hour.
Absolutely.
Sooner or later, it'll come, and it came to me as well. And I realized, with all your status and all your complete CV, your history. Well, there's no one at that moment in time that's going to help you, So congratulations, you're the best percussion player in the whole country. And now what,
No.
There's nothing. There's nothing you've built on, There's nothing.
And that's the thing, you know that yourself as being, one of the heavy cats as a, guitar session player, and I look at myself now and I say, well, what do I want to be? I mean, I can play as a percussionist here and there, and do all kind of lots of gigs. But I said, am I getting the fulfillment out of my life that I want? Because like I said, my photography has become a big passion for me. Being able to just do a little small production here and there at home. I still love to do that. And
there's a lot of knowledge, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Absolutely.
knowledge, and you can share that with people. And
Absolutely.
you know, the things you've experienced, not only musically, but the industry and the people and the doing the work, you know.
Absolutely.
There's a treasure of information. So and you know, the other day when I sent this artist to you,
right,
and I asked you, you know, can you help him, you know, to help him with the timing, with his musicality. Well, you know, that really is a treasure of gold, actually. So I think you should be proud, you know, to have that all aboard. So that's what we can give back to the world, you know. So
absolutely. Well, this is one of the reasons why I do this podcast, because I like to have people on that also have something to offer to my listeners and their experiences, you know. And like I said to you, I wanted to have you on earlier, and you know, I had a whole list of people, but I thought, well, this is the first show for the new season. I said I got to definitely have you on for that one. That's so very
well. That's
very,
great, man.
Very honored and proud to have you come on here for that, buddy.
Well, that's same for me, man. Same for me. Really great.
You know, you actually answered the third question, which is about revision. You actually went into it without me even having to ask you. But I do have one last question in regards to that. What would you tell the young people today that need to make revisions in their life? What would you tell them?
Well, first of all, it's a very personal thing. You know, my revision doesn't have to mean for anyone else. They have to do the same. But you know, while thinking about it, I think, you know, we live in an era with all full of social media. It's all about the appearance. And that's really, you know, mindfuck number one, I think. And
definitely.
And I think the big difference in development, in developing your own identity, your creativity. You know, back then we didn't have YouTube. You know, so I went to the record library and I landed a Charlie Parker record. And I studied it for 3 or 4 months, you know, and then you moved on to another hero. That's the way we did it back then. And
absolutely, I always say we woodshedding.
Yeah. We dug deeper into the thing we were busy with. And right now, you go to YouTube. Oh, that's great, man! And 5 minutes later, you're on the other, and everything is there, you know. Which is on one side is a great advantage, of course. But the danger is you don't dig deep, and then you can hear that in the productions, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so if I look back to all the music, I think it's great, you know, the music. There's actually 2 years I really like in the music history. That's 1976 and 1969. You know, these were for some reason, you know, very creative years, you know. So
right.
76,
absolutely.
The Royal Scam, Steely Dan, Hotel California, you know, and Earth in a Fire, you know. I can go on, but there's kind of you know, commitment in that music, a deepness, or I don't know how to explain that, or maybe it's a time thing, I don't know, but that's really the thing I miss in these days. Because it's all a snack bar, you know. There's no restaurant anymore. It's all snack, you know.
Well,
it's all
that's
fast
what I
food.
said. You know, I did an interview article some time ago. That was a couple of years ago, where I talk about the industry becoming a fast food industry, and all the way down from what, you know, like we used to have to work hard in order to get on television. You got on television when you became after you became popular with the people, and not beforehand. It's a reverse situation now.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Unfortunately, I mean, there's some real good talent out there, and
of course, yes.
I just hope that, you know, and the industry has become actually flooded with so much material that people don't know what to choose. And a lot of the real deep-hearted, talented artists, they get lost because they get messed up in the whole spin. So their music doesn't even get a chance to even be heard, even though there's more opportunities to listen to music nowadays.
Yeah.
And I think what you said, that whole thing about looking back the time when you used to go to a record shop and just spend the whole afternoon just listening to records, looking at the cover, seeing who the musicians were, seeing
reading all the stuff.
Man. That's exactly, music used to be a book, it used to be a book, and now it's like a swallow of water for a lot of people that they just take and piss out the other end. And the nourishment is getting lost to a lot of things. And there are some exceptions, but it's good to have people like you around in the industry and the other colleagues that I talk to that have been around, and we pass it on. And that's all we can do is pass on our experiences.
Yeah, we will pass it on. And the thing is, once in every while, I am a teacher, in a conservatory in some places here in Holland. Right. And but really strange is the other day I had these guys, and I was giving band class. So I let these guys play something like, I don't remember, but something like Autumn Leaves or something,
Right.
And it was really bad, these guys were maybe a third year conservatory. Right. And it was really bad. It was really bad, Right. So I asked this guy, well, just play the 2 and the 4, and it went wrong, So it was really bad. But the thing is, watch out, because the thing is, one season later, same guys, other assignment. The assignment was, here's a studio project. I give you a click track and a sheet. Go to the studio, do the production. I got it back, and it was really great. It was really great. Right. Because these guys, this generation, they have a super focus, They have a super focus on one discipline, and they're going to master it. But that means that the other discipline, like playing together, it's all gone,
Right.
And it's really weird, because in our days, it was the other way around, Right. First you learn to play, and you learn to play together, and then you go to the studio,
That's it.
It's really weird, But I must say, the production I got, it was really great, All the compressors and stuff, and all the tech,
The technical
so shoot me.
Well, it is a, the kids nowadays, and say in the last 20 years, 20, 30 years, they've grown up with a Nintendo or Game Boy in their hand. And the technical knowledge has really increased. On the other hand, I miss a lot of compassion among a lot of young people when it comes to being courteous towards each other, the respect that needs to be shown. And that's something that I hope, still hope, that the pandemic brought back to people to a certain degree, touching back to the basics, that's so important. And of course, we're speaking as older men, but we've experienced that. And if you look back, you can look back and, okay, we had wonderful times, but, today it's so different. So of course you need to be more creative. You need to be outgoing a bit more. But at the same time, I always say, never lose those basics, because that's going to be your foundation for your whole life,
It is, And we actually had a community, a real community. And I was thinking the other day, I was walking with my dog outside, and I was thinking, back in those days, then back in the early 90s, for instance, I meet a lot of people, and I played with a lot of people. But thinking about it, it wasn't like then, if you wanted to play or wanted to have to make contact with whoever, we didn't have mobile phones, So I called your house, I called to your house and hopefully you were at home and pick up the phone, and then we talk to each other,
Absolutely.
And the thing is, we didn't miss out on anything, because we had those, we were communicating, so.
Well, that's it. The personal communication has become distant.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is wonderful that we're able to speak to each other and see each other, for example, via Zoom.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it's never going to be the same as when we're at, say, for example, we meet at your studio, or you're here in Antwerp, and we're sitting and we're having a chat together over a drink and or in a studio together performing. There's that organic thing, and that I kind of miss in a lot of the
real
music
people.
Today. Yeah. And hopefully I think it's starting to slowly change. You've got a generation of young musicians now that are starting to catch on to this whole. It does sound better when you're playing together. And so there are some young cats coming up, and hopefully it catches on like fire.
Hopefully, yes, yeah. Well, that's the other side of the story, because there are a lot of young people. I was talking to this drummer. I think this guy is maybe 25 years old or something, and he actually discovered, the old things we were raised with. So like Jeff Porcaro and stuff, and this guy, like he opened a whole new world, He was like, wow. Well, that's great to see, So these guys, So it's not all lost, So
no, definitely not. Definitely not, man.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, man, for opening up, sharing your story and your idea, man. Especially about revision on this particular episode. I look forward to getting together sometime again in the near future.
Thanks, man.
If you ever down this way, man, we'll have a drink together and have a nice chat, man.
We will
take a walk in town.
Yeah, we certainly will.
All right, buddy. All right, I'm looking forward
we'll
to
have a drink.
And you send my best regards also to Desiree. You give her a big hug for me as well. And
yeah, sure.
Hey, man, thanks so much for coming on the show, and a lot of love to you, bro.
Well, right back at you, man.
All right, buddy. You take care.
All right, thanks, Eddie.
Hey.
This is MPP, and I'm Eddie C.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I had a wonderful time interviewing both of my guests, and I hope you did as well, listening to their conversations and what they had to share about revision. Revision is a word it sounds very sharp, very final, but it's not. Even though it has a sort of a sharpness to it, it's sort of a word that behind the sharpness, there's a lot of little finery and edges to it. It goes much deeper than just looking at something and changing it for what it is. It goes much deeper than that. So on those words, here is my quote. Revision. Learning from your youth. Experiencing each day as one step at a time. Discovering new avenues and horizons. Believing in true value in what you do. Not being afraid to fall in the process of developing. Sharing your knowledge so that others can use it to revise the future of their lives. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about it for this episode of Season 2. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And before I go, I want to thank my guests, Lolo Asratian and Mr. Patrick Drabe, for coming on and sharing their stories about revision. And remember, if you plan to revise, don't disguise. Until next time. You can find me on all platforms like Spotify, Android, and Apple. On Facebook, look for My Positive Podcast, and my website is mypositivepodcast.com. You can also contact me via my website or Facebook. A very special thanks to my technical producer, Iswan. This show is a production by Antwerp Podcast Service. My name is Eddie C., and this was MPP, My Positive Podcast. Tune in next week and stay positive.